In this video, we will understand Yajurveda 40 by 15th mantra. I am going to explain to you from the meaning written by my Acharya, Swami Ram Swarup Ji Yogacharya. The mantra has very deep secrets about the death as well as the rituals after death. As per this mantra, the only ritual that is pending after death is burning the dead body, cremation of the dead body. After the cremation, there is no other deed that needs to be done, which is widely followed in most of the Indian tradition. Like people do every day for the first 13 days they do everyday function, some kind of homa, some kind of prayers, and then 13th day again big homa, and then every month until 1 year they will not celebrate any festival. There are so many customs and traditions which is not mentioned by Almighty God in the Vedas. These are not needed. The only thing what is needed is the cremation of the dead body, because Almighty God says in this mantra, the mantra is like this: Om Vayuranilam Amritam Matedam Basmantang Shariram Om Kritosmar Klibesmar Kritang Smar. My Acharya beautifully writes, Krito Om Smar. O human being, you have to do hard and pious deeds, so at the time of death, remember the name of God Om and feel the presence of God everywhere. Klibe Smar, remember the form of Almighty God as well as remember the form of yourself, that you are soul, you are not the body. And Kritang Smar, whatever pious deeds or whatever unpious deeds or sins what you have executed throughout this life, remember those at the time of death. My Acharya explains, not in this article but always explains when he explains this mantra, is that if you have to remember the name of Om, name of Almighty God at the time of death, you have to remember the name of God almost every day throughout your life. If throughout your life you are not remembering God, you can never remember the name of Almighty God at the time of death. So God is giving an indirect hint here that you should remember the name of God Om throughout your life, because we never know that when, at what time our death will come. And the mantra says, Vayuhu Anilam Amritam. Vayuhu, the air which exists inside the body, Anilam Amritam, is under the shelter of subtlest air. And the subtlest air is under the shelter of Amritam, means Prakriti. Prakriti is Amritam because it is uncreated matter. It is non-alive matter from which the air is getting created, from which the body is getting created. The human body is made up of 5 elements, as you know. The 5 elements are made from Prakriti. So the mantra says that everything is created from Prakriti, and the human body also is created from Prakriti, and after death the human body will get dispersed into the 5 elements, and the 5 elements will again go into Prakriti form at the time of destruction of the universe. This has to be remembered by each and every one of us, that we are not human body, our body is destructible. Acharya writes, the effect to separate the soul from the human body is based on the said air. That is why mostly the people at the time of death say the vital air of the body has gone out. Uska pran chala gaya. People tell the vital air is gone out. That is why it is called as death. In fact, the said effect should remain right from the childhood till death. That means from the childhood, from the time of Upanayan Sanskar until our death, we should always remember that our body is destructible, but it is not possible without the advice of learned Acharya of Vedas in our life. Otherwise, we will always be indulged in external pomp and show and attractions. At the time of death, vital airs at last attain its reason, that is Prakriti, which is non-alive matter, and the body seems to become dead. Ataha idam shariram basmantang. So, idam shariram, this destructive body is required to be burnt. Basmantang means is required to be burnt. This is the order of Almighty God. I made also a separate video why cremation is better than burying the body, because many religions follow burying the body. Why we should not bury the body under the ground, why we should do cremation, I have made a separate video with a logical explanation with scientific facts. So I request you to see that video also in my channel under the playlist called English videos. You can find all the English videos I have made so far. This destructive body is required to be burnt. Thereafter, no other religious deed is required to be performed. The above divine process of cremation, which is required to be attained in the whole life as well as at the time of death of all human beings, has been preached by Almighty God Himself. So, we need not to perform any religious act after cremation, but in the absence of Vedic knowledge, the self-made rituals, self-made deeds have come into practice, which according to the preach of Almighty God are of no use. Still, if people perform several rituals, it is at their own discretion. Proks priyahi devaha. That means any acharya of Vedas, any maharishi, any rishi, any yogi will always teach us indirectly. They will not force their knowledge on us. Proks priyahi devaha. Almighty God also always preaches us gently, subtly. We have to catch the words and then follow it. If we are ignoring the words, then we will never follow the Vedas. So my Acharya is right, has beautifully written, still if people perform several rituals, then it is at their own discretion. That's it. But it's a very, very strong statement. If we understand the seriousness, if we understand the greatness of a Rishi Muni Acharya. And also my Acharya has written one more beautiful paragraph. It is observed that after attaining the oldest age of approximately 80 years and above, there exists a effect on mind that the person is near to death. So at old age, we always have a inner feeling that we are going to die. And also any time my soul will get moved out from this destructible body, this feeling will automatically come. Usually before the said age of 80 years and above, mostly in the childhood and young age, we do not have this effect in our mind. So the idea of this mantra is that realization of Almighty God being the main motor of human life, every human being must experience the effect, the above effect. That means every human being must remember that his body is destructible. From the childhood till death, and by adopting the Vedic path, worship of Almighty God, performing Agnihotra and practice of Ashtanga Yoga philosophy must be carried out in daily life under the guidance of a learned Acharya while discharging all the moral duties towards family, society and nation. So this is the advice by Almighty God. This is the idea of this mantra. Otherwise, we will never be able to understand that our body is destructible. Otherwise, we will always be in Momamta Maya. And people would think that they have burnt the dead body of somebody else, and then they think that they are never going to die. Also, the mantra is saying that after performing the last religious act of the cremation, which is also one among the 16 sanskars in our life, no other religious deed is required to be done. So this is the gist of the mantra, that we have to remember that our body is destructible. We can remember once by seeing the video, but we cannot remember after you go out to office, to work, to business, etc. How do we remember? By doing everyday Om Jap, by doing everyday Agnihotra, by following the preach of Acharya of Vedas every day in our life. Without that, we will never be able to have a following of this Ved mantra, or none of the Ved mantras. Without understanding everyday preach from an Acharya, without learning everyday Vedas, without reading the words of Acharya every day, we will never be able to implement. And also without the Vedic worship, we will never be able to implement these advices of Almighty God in the Vedas in our daily life. So this has to be understood. Thank you so much. Namaste. Om.